Spike Robert here. This is the end of America. This is not me joking or being hyperbolic. This really is America at its lowest point it has ever been. This country has never been closer to death's door than it is right now. The American dream has become a nightmare. Why? Well, take a fucking look. In 2025, it is almost impossible to get a job. Most jobs require you to have 3 to 5 years of experience to even qualify for a position. Something that is just completely arbitrary and barely even possible if you can't even get an entry-level job. Not to mention having a college degree, which is almost not even worth it because you'll be drowning in debt for it after the fact. Higher education is like an elevator in a building where most people enter at the top floor. Even if you manage to get a job, you will find that most jobs make you work 8 fucking hours a day and are set up in the most draconian ways possible. You don't get any say in how they run their business. You can complain to them about it, but it is unlikely they will change their policies to the way you want it. Most of the higher-ups don't know what the fuck they are doing. Oh, and on top of all of that, Gen Z doesn't get paid nearly enough to put up with any of this shit. That is a problem considering buying a house is more expensive than it has ever been in the past. We also have delusional boomers who try to gaslight the younger generations into thinking that things are way better now to make them stay with these horrible systems. How? By saying, well, at least you're not in the Great Depression. At least you're not in the trenches in World War II. Fuck you. You know what? At this point, I would rather be in the trenches in World War II. At least I get to shoot some Nazis. Yeah. Even then, the US military was not bogged down by these bullshit ethics laws, so they were able to get the job done. But now they are. And nowadays, most jobs don't even do that. I mean, don't even let you get the job done. Trust me, in cubicle jobs, which is the primary positions that I've worked, it is very hard to see the progress you're actually making. So it feels like you're accomplishing nothing. Now, I'm not saying that everything was better in the past. Let me make that very clear. Sure, the Roman slaves only worked about 6 hours a day and were easily given food, but they were still subjected to torture and execution if they didn't comply. I'm also not saying that America has the worst work culture. Japan's work culture is in many ways even worse than America's. I mean, at least in America, they'll allow you to quit your jobs. Some businesses in Japan will sue you if you attempt to quit. But America's work culture is still really fucking bad. Hence why so many people are just quiet quitting and just not even caring about getting a job anymore. Because a lot of the delusional boomers in power are sticking to these archaic systems and acting like it's still the 1960s. Yet things are changing rapidly around them. Ever since the pandemic, I think we are long past the point of ever returning to a society where everyone can get access to social interaction. So the policies of work and the economy should adapt to these changes, rather than having Gen Z adapt to these systems. This is unsustainable. We need to make changes, and we need to make them now, right fucking now. Now, I'm not saying we should go full-on socialist, because that would honestly make things worse. First of all, you would not make that much money. Second of all, in socialist countries, they can take away some of the things you own if they want. Kind of like how streaming services are taking away your fucking favorite shows if they want. Third, socialist countries are not even close to the highest life satisfaction according to the World Happiness Report or the Gini. What we should really do is either use the Nordic model or laissez-faire capitalism. Now, Laissez-faire capitalism sounds like a bad idea, but it really isn't. A lot of people say it will lead to more monopolies and will make things worse. And a lot of people who say that clearly don't know that much about economics. I mean, I'm not an economist or anything, but I've done enough research. America does not use laissez-faire capitalism. It is supposed to use welfare capitalism, but it's really just corporate capitalism, or corporatism. I'm just going to call it that because it's hard to really call America a capitalist nation anymore. Corporatism is when large corporations have control over the economy. One of the things that laissez-faire capitalism does is prevent corruption, like treating workers like shit. The only way for true monopolies to form is if either there's some sort of corporatist legislature that it gets implemented, or if a company finds some way to undercut every single other fucking company in that type of business and be the only one left. It would be practically impossible to do that if there's almost no control of the economy and the big corporations lose control of the economy. And as far as I know, history is on my side. Also, laissez-faire capitalism does not mean no restrictions. It means very few restrictions. Guess what? Switzerland uses laissez-faire capitalism, and they're doing way better on the high life satisfaction than America is doing right now. Hell, I would be fine if we just used the Nordic model, because countries that use it like Finland, Denmark, and Sweden are all doing better on the high life satisfaction according to the World Happiness Report and the Gini and stuff. All these countries are doing way better than America is doing right now, but good luck trying to find a politician that will think it's a good idea to implement these policies. Even if there is, they would never make it to being president. First of all, we still have the Electoral College fucking up every single election and making votes for more humane candidates not even matter. Second of all, we still have the two-party system, something that both Thomas Jefferson and John Adams hated and did not think was a good idea. I am 110% sure that our founding fathers would not have wanted what is happening right now. They are rolling in their goddamn graves at this point. If this country was supposed to be all about life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness, then we failed, goddammit. We failed. I don't see much of a future left for this country, considering most people nowadays are not even getting into romantic relationships. But I don't blame them. With all the downsides that romantic relationships come with, and the fact that they can be very expensive, I can see why they don't even bother. Single people don't spend as much money anyway. But the way of the past, the American way of life, it's ending. I'm not a man of faith. There was a time when I had hope that things would get better, but that time is gone. I want to say there's a bright light at the end of the tunnel, but there isn't. Getting a politician to make these changes probably is not going to happen, considering how fucking bad the election process has become. It would take a miracle to fix the damage that has been done by delusional boomers. And this is why I blame boomer culture for all the problems that this current generation is having. But what really fucking gets me is that people have the choice to change these policies, but they just choose not to because they're afraid. They're afraid that it will not work, even though it has been proven to work for other countries. Or they're just afraid that we won't be following traditions. Yeah, well, traditions fade away. If we keep going with this, I don't see it panning out in any good way. And it looks like we're going to stay with these ridiculous policies. I'm going to say it again. This is the end of America. It's over. I'm Spike Robot. I'm tired. I want to go to bed. And I never want to wake up. 'Cause it's time.